All right, it looks like we're missing a couple of people, but again, respecting all of your time, we are going to get going into it. We have about an hour today, even though I'm going to leave it open a little bit longer. But again, I want to be very respectful of your time. So I appreciate everybody jumping on this advisor leader to leader. We have almost 70 signed up. Looks like we have just about 50 currently in, and we'll probably pick up a couple more as we go. I'm pretty sure everyone knows me, but I'm Matt Alley. I'm director for the Michigan Association of Student Councils Honor Societies. If you cannot see the screen, I'm the only one that dressed up for my spring break party, which is fine. I'll deal with it. I enjoy taking my kids' toys and giving them some hell for the hell they've given me for about 4 weeks. Having a lot of fun over here on this side. A couple quick reminders as we begin. This is a meeting. It is not a webinar. I'm sure, like everybody else, I am now an expert at Zoom, which I'm sure you all as well. But the main difference between a webinar and a webinar and a meeting, you have the ability to unmute yourself at will. You have the ability to share items from your screen at will. What we're asking right now, because we have so many people on the line, is to remain muted and to really use our Zoom chat function to pose questions. A lot of the questions that we're going to have our advisors, like every other educational Zoom we've sat in, they're going to be very widespread. So we tried to focus our efforts for this first Zoom meeting on a couple immediate topics, which we're going to get to. Once we get to the end of our session, we're really going to open it up to see what else you need from the association, what else you need from each other, and we can really start opening it up to pose different questions, to try to find some solutions, to lean on each other in this state of education that we're all in right now. So to begin, I want to cover our agenda for today. What we have here is we really have broken this Zoom meeting into two parts. The first 20 to 30 minutes is more of a sit and get. I do want to cover some of the things that we've put together as an association. I really want to talk about how we're starting to honor our seniors, honor our students as a whole, start talking about commencement, and then the next 30 minutes will be spent in our Zoom breakout rooms. So if you hadn't had a chance to use that feature, what we'll do is after we cover this first main bit as a group, I will then put you all into smaller breakout rooms of about 10 to 12 people, and each one will be led by a moderator that I've asked to actually help lead us through our discussion topics. We'll have about 15 minutes per topic so that you really get a chance to see what other people are doing, learn a little bit more about what their resources are, how they're sharing it with students, and really trying to network and collaborate. So the biggest thing I want to get across to everybody is that this Zoom meeting is very low stress, very relaxed. Want to make sure you get everything you can from it in both parts, both the large group session and the breakout session. For the breakout session, again, you're going to have a moderator. We're going to have about 30 minutes, 15 minutes per topic, but I'm going to keep you with the same group of people for that entire 30 minutes. After that breakout time is up, you're going to come back into the main room. I will again thank everybody for joining us. And then I am going to stick around to see what else we can do as an association to start gathering some of your concerns, start to put together more resource packets. You also get a survey at the end of this just to make sure we're doing everything possible to take care of you, to help you take care of your kids. So the very first thing that I want to throw up today is a little bit about our resources. So I am going to switch screens to show you a little bit about what we've done in association. Quick head nods. Do we have a screen up here that says COVID-19 resources? Perfect. Okay, so my first big disclaimer for resources. I know how inundated you are with emails, with toolkits, with free blasts of resources for curriculum and videos and things we can do with our students. Random emails from CEOs telling us everything's going to be okay. I've tried to sift through a lot of this, and as an association, we've tried to create some pieces that we think you'll find beneficial, that we think would help aid you in this new reality. You know, but the biggest thing I like to get across when I talk to educators is that this is here to help keep you swimming. We don't ever want to feel like we're putting people underwater. It's a lot. and we're getting a lot. And every single day, we get more and more information that we're trying to sort through and see what would be appropriate to send out and how could people use it. But there's a big mental health angle to this, especially with educators. I think that we all need to kind of hit the pause button from time to time. I think we all need to kind of check ourselves. I think each day that we get up, we try to figure out what we can do that's positive without burning us out. So we do put these resources together, but by no means should you be diving into it right away. You should be trying to take all this information and get it into the hands of your kids. It's just here to help support you as an educator and support you as an advisor. One of the biggest packets that we've put out every single day that you've seen in your emails is our COVID-19 daily. So this email is something that we've created for both principals, for advisors, and again, it's a lot. I do think it's important for all of our educators to have a better understanding of what's going on with legislation, what's going on across the state of Michigan, articles that we pieced together, resources that we found, and some tools that we've actually created. But again, there's a lot there. I'm one of 3 people that helped put that large daily email together, and I don't read it all the way through the first time. So please make sure that, again, you're taking care of yourself, but there's some really, really good information inside those COVID-19. So we've also taken and then put it on a webpage just for advisors. So over on our resource tab right here, and this is just off our main webpage, at the very bottom, you can get to this COVID-19 resources. A lot of what we've tried to do from our office is try to think about what educators could need and how we could package it up for you to use. So the first bit that I wanted to highlight are weekly learning opportunities. When we started to think about ideas that educators could put into place, we started thinking about low-tech, no-tech options for districts. Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. There's a lot of districts that are trying to get up and running. They're running 6 classes a day, full digital online curriculum. There's some districts that are just trying to make sure their kids have shelter and food, and you get it from both sides. And there's wide margins. So what we tried to do with this weekly learning opportunities was to put together a packet of information that educators could kick out to their students, to their families, that has kind of a different approach to education. So every single week, we theme a topic. This one right here is off of grit. We put together words of wisdom. We put together some information about our topic. So this right here is some inspirational stuff from Angela Duckworth, who's kind of the guru behind the theory and philosophy of grit. And we put in other curriculum pieces that we think students would be engaged in, that they might look at and not breeze by without considering it to be overly academic. Trying to make sure that students are at least being involved in the educational process from now until the end of school, knowing that every district's doing it different ways, whether they're doing credit, no credit, what their learning opportunities look like. We want to make sure we had something for our schools to utilize throughout this extended break, throughout the closure. Because myself and the associate executive director for the principal side make it, there is a huge leadership side into it. Almost everything in this could be considered something you could do for your programs. We even get down to these weekly challenges where it's much more open-ended. We tried to make it a little bit more family-oriented, a little bit more fun. This one was having a Zoom trivia night, where you can get people together, you can design some curriculum, trying to get kids some type of learning opportunities that would be considered non-traditional. So that resource is out there. Farther down on this page, we do have a mental health check-in for both students and staff. This is something we developed a couple of weeks ago and put out. But at the same time, in those daily emails, they're huge, right? There's a lot of information. So I did want to highlight with those advisors in case you wanted to use it. If you did click on the student wellness, the way I've set up these links is that every time you click on it, you get your own unique copy of this form. A lot of time when you try to share out Google Forms, you'll trip over each other because you're using the same form, you collect the same responses. If you go in and edit the form from a shared Google form, you trip over each other. So if you actually went into this form, you click make a copy, you now have your own unique copy of a student wellness form. That's not pulling up for me. Come on, technology. And eventually you get to this form that we made that you can then blast out to your kids. It's just a nice way to check in with all of your students, whether it's part of your activities program, part of your classes, just to see where their heads are at, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure they're healthy, to make sure they're not feeling too overwhelmed. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest worries I have when I look across the board for our student population is just where they're at mentally. This is a big shift for educators. It's probably even a bigger shift for kids, especially our high-flying kids, especially a lot of the kids that we work with every single day, from student councils or honor societies, the ones that are worried about, what was taken away or what they lost in their senior year, the juniors that are worried about testing and how this could impact higher education, what's going to happen with scholarships, things of that nature. It's a lot to take in. So this form is here for you if you wanted to use it, if you want to manipulate it, if you want to change some of this information to make it more unique, it is there for you. We have the same thing for your staff as well. If you want to send something out to your staff, just to get a better idea of where they're at or get it in the hands of your administration, it's there for you just as a tool you could use. Other good stuff that we have put here, we do have Mike Smith, who does the Harbor series from Jostens. He made a really nice video in the wake of all this that we put out here. I'll talk more about Jostens in just a minute. We have some of our virtual Spirit Weeks and virtual Charity Week information that we've seen come across on social media. So we tried to grab some great examples of what people are doing to stay connected to their kids. We put some of the YouTube links here. We put a couple graphics up so you can see what other schools are doing if you wanted to recreate your own or contact these schools to see how they're going about it. As you keep going down, we just have a lot more information that you could use with your student crew. Even down here, this works to be well is a ton of mental health information that you can get to the hands of your student leaders. It's got self-tests, it's got emergency information, it's got ways to take care of others, just a lot of good links for, again, you to peruse. You don't have to dive into any of it, but I would assume that if you're looking for something for your kids, I'm hoping you can find it from this quick page that we'll keep adding it to. Instead of making tabs, instead of building it out, it will be a running list of different items that we find. I also have a Google folder for advisors that we're going to share that is going to, again, take a lot of resources and a lot of examples that you have sent me, things that you are doing that we're going to share. It's a philosophy of mine, just like it's a philosophy of yours. Now is not the time to be greedy and to hold on to resources. Now's the time to let everybody have it. No questions asked, no permissions, unlock the vault, and let you take what you need to make sure we're always considering students first and foremost. Other good things that we have as far as resources, social media. On our side, we've been doing a lot. If you want to kick the kids to any of our accounts, our social media team has been trying to do things to keep the kids engaged. This Friday, they're doing an all-day live cast and an all-day Zoom. It's kind of a spin on our summer camp program, just giving the kids a way to connect, to interact with one another, check in. They're doing some health stuff. They're doing some yoga and some fitness. They're doing some journaling. They're doing a Netflix movie party. They're doing some in-home activities. It's just kind of a fun, uplifting thing. So this is something else we did on Instagram. It's called Redefining Leadership. A little bit more curricular. We pose a question of the day to the kids, and you can see we get a bunch of responses and ways for kids to connect and really interact with each other and keep the spirit of leadership really alive with our kids. So that's another great resource for everybody. Other breaking news that we're trying to finalize today. We've been pretty loud around Lansing of trying to make our opinions known and our recommendations known and trying to work with a lot of different people to get this information out to administrators and advisors as quickly as possible. We got a chance to take it one step farther this week. We are going to have a really neat opportunity for our student leaders. We're actually having a town hall with Governor Whitmer. So the way this is going to work is we're actually building out the logistics right now. It looks like it's going to be early next week. We're actually going to have a platform for our student leaders to submit questions and then hop on a gigantic webinar meeting with the governor to ask her these questions. This is going to be something that's going to have to be very organized to make sure it comes off in the right way. But we do have a form available that I'm going to email out to all of our participants after this meeting. And then I'm going to hit our entire membership with it, that I would like you as advisors to please forward this on to your closed networks. So if you have a closed GroupMe or a closed Facebook, a Remind, we're actually getting in the hands of your student activity kids. They can actually fill out this form and submit questions. And then we're going through and selecting all these kids to sit on a big Zoom meeting with Governor Whitmer. The reason I asked for these to be closed communications, I would rather you did not post this in a student newsletter, on your school websites, just because this whole phenomenon of Zoom bombing is kind of taken over the world. So we're going to do our very best to try to keep it secure so that we can look professional, that we can have some really great students, really ask the governor some questions, really voicing the power of student leadership and really getting their questions out there, really bringing in a lot of the student voice, which has been a big initiative of ours for the past 3 or 4 years. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to really show the students the inner workings of legislation, but also show legislation that the students have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns that I think we need to address and help them feel a little more comfortable with what's going on as well. So I think that's a really neat and exciting opportunity that I'd love for you to get in the hands of your kids after I kick it your way after this meeting. The last piece that I want to highlight right here, again, this will be in the shared folder, is we've tried to piece together a lot of information as far as end of the year activities and commencement. So we do have, again, a running document that pulls together some of these ideas that we have seen other districts or outside the state trying to put into place. Things like a senior spotlight, digital honors and awards program. Again, your idea of virtual spirit weeks and keeping camaraderie and morale high. The year's highlight slideshow was a really cool one that we saw come out of Washington. Staff video message of encouragement. Just a collection of information, again, so that as you are building your plans, you don't have to build them alone. And this is a gigantic topic. The whole idea of end of the year activities and commencement is going to be our first breakout topic. But we've also invited members from Team Jostens to join us on this call to talk to advisors a little bit more about what Jostens has been planning, what they have been working on, and how advisors across the state can take advantage of that. So with that, I'm going to introduce Amy Hollinsworth and John Rowe, who are on this call, if they would like to get advisors across the state up to speed with the work Jostens has done and how we can take advantage of that.
For sure. I think I'm going to get I'm going to start it, Matt. Thank you for having us. My name is John Rowe. I'm a former 36-year educator, ended my career as an administrator, but spent a lot of time as a counselor and a student council advisor. Married, my wife is also retired, but also was a longtime student council advisor. So I know what you do, and I thank you for what you do. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. To be honest, totally honest with you, I'm glad I retired before this hit, because I just can't imagine what's going on. But the main message we want to send you, first of all, we also have Amy Hollinsworth, who is a Jostens rep from the Grand Rapids, Lansing area, and also Jeff Hollinsworth, who's from the Metro Detroit area. We're going to hear from them in a minute. But our main message from Jostens is that we are here to help. I'm currently since I've retired, I've had the honor to work with Jostens to help schools enhance their climate and culture through the Renaissance program, which that's not what we're here to talk about today, but if you have some time, you want to look at that, I'm here to help for that. But we are here to help, and Jostens is totally committed to helping during this crazy time. I know one thing, once schools closed, the first call I got was from Jostens corporate office. They knew I was a former administrator, and say, what can we do to help these poor people? We need to be helpful here. And so they are just absolutely committed to helping. So anyway, first thing I'm going to talk about is some of the resources that Jostens has made available to you. Then we're going to turn it over to Amy and Jeff to talk about potential end of year things and help with graduation and commencement and those types of things. So Matt already talked about this first resource, and that is the Harbor. And I just really want to, if you've not seen this before or not used this at all, I really want to encourage you to take a look at this. The Harbor is a free video series, character development. Mike Smith, who's probably the best youth motivational speaker that I've heard, is the host. They're short, 3 to 5 minute videos. Many of them are just him on the crate talking about a topic. There are some where he interviews others. There are some hosted by other celebrities and other people that are in tune with this kind of thing. But just a ton of different topics: grief, bullying, self-worth, judgment, digital citizenship. They're a new one every week. We're on season 6. Each one comes with a critical thinking guide, discussion guide. This would be tremendous for you to share with your students as you're looking at creating content. I do also want to mention that, and Matt talked about it, the one Rooted for Love. I think it's the next screen. Maybe if you want, yeah, Rooted in Love. Mike Smith just did this specifically for this pandemic. I know many principals have shared it with their students, and if you haven't, it might be something you may want to share with your students. It's a fantastic, at least listen to it yourself and see if you think it's appropriate to share, but I think it's a phenomenal resource. So take a look at the Harbor. It's fantastic. Would be great content for your online work that you're doing with your students. Here's the good news, because it is free for Jostens customers, but they've made this public to all people. So anybody can have access to this resource, whether they're a Jostens customer or not. So I really encourage you to take a look at that. So first of all, it's the website, jostensrenaissance.com is how you get in. And then up in the right-hand corner, the password is all caps, Jostens, username Jostens, and you can have full access to the Harbor video and other resources on the website. The one thing I also want to mention is, go ahead, Amy, the leadership curriculum. Something you may want to share with your students, or maybe even share with your student council. This was new last year, over 100 individual lessons. You can see the units and the skills there that you can tackle. Every lesson has a downloadable PDF version of the lesson and resources needed. This could be easily turned into content that you could use with your students and use with your student council as well. This is top leaders across the country put this together. It's a phenomenal resource. Once again, free. I mean, absolutely free. It's unbelievable that this resource is free. So I encourage you to take a look at that as well. And while you're in there, and before I turn it over to you, Amy, while you're in the Renaissance website, take a look. If you're not familiar with Renaissance, take a look at one thing specifically. It's called the Idea Exchange. You can get ideas. It's like a Pinterest of Renaissance ideas, or ideas that can enhance your climate and culture. It's just filled with resources and ideas. So if you've never been on this website, now's your chance to look at it easily with the public access. So once again, we're here to help. I'm going to turn it over to Amy. She's going to talk about some of the things that have been happening around the country with cap and gown deliveries and other types of commencement things, and any other ways we can help. So go ahead, Amy.
All right, awesome. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I can only see so much on my screen. So first off, thanks again for having us. But yeah, we're going to dive into what we're calling the Virtual Commencement Center. I know a lot of principals out there have been talking a lot about this topic of what are we going to do for graduation. They've probably gotten emails from multiple website companies just trying to help facilitate alternatives. But you know, at Jostens, we have been working hard with MASSP, as well as a bunch of advisors out there on a one-on-one basis, as well as principals, school districts, all kinds of things, all kinds of conversations going on. And I just want to be clear, most schools in Michigan, as of right now, are hoping and praying that we can do a traditional type of ceremony. That is the #1 goal. That's what the students want. That's what the parents want. We just, you know, that's the goal for everyone. However, this is kind of like your worst case scenario. A very last backup plan is the Virtual Commencement Center. And so basically, Jostens has put together a whole center that you can kind of create and build your own program. Let's see here. So basically, again, steps. It's not going to do it for you because every school will look a little different. Every school has different needs, different sizes, all different things that come into play. So, but again, you can kind of build your own program through this platform. So it has the 5 steps here that you can use
through graduation. There's downloadable instructions and templates and all different things that you guys can use for a virtual ceremony if that's the route you have to go. As you can see here, it's like step one would be the intro and your exit music. You can pick and choose different things. We'll be having the rights to the pomp and circumstance on there, as well as commencement speeches. We're working with multiple celebrities and, you know, and when I say celebrities, it's everything from Insta-famous kind of people to people that are in possibly government, all different people that Jostens working with to create commencement speeches that you can pick from to play live at your your virtual commencement. The other option too is to record your own speeches. So I know we've had schools ask about that. And then again, how the presentation of graduates would go, step 3, turning of the tassel and the tossing of the caps. So again, just a little bit of a format from the beginning to the end. And again, this is still evolving every day, but we just want you guys to know it is a resource to you. You can contact your Jostens rep if you want to know more. And again, we just wanted to let you know that that was a resource that we do have if we need to use it. The other things that I wanted to make mention of today, if you don't follow Jostens Renaissance on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, I highly recommend it. This is Tara Campbell and Philip Campbell, and they are part of our Renaissance team over in Minnesota. And they have done a ton of work around just trying to help schools keep the conversation going and sharing of ideas. And so every Monday, we're having Motivational Mondays, and Tara and Philip will lead about an hour conversation, just spewing ideas that are coming out all over the country. And again, it's just a way to share ideas and tell you guys about some of the positive things going on out there. And again, that'll be on Mondays, every Monday at noon. And once the live video session is over with, they will have it posted so you can go back and watch it. And on Fridays, we're focusing on Graduation Fridays. So Fridays are specifically for senior items, but again, just sharing all those ideas around celebrating seniors, what schools are doing, and different ideas there. So that'll be Friday at noon on Facebook. So that's another resource. And again, as I mentioned, following us on Twitter or Instagram. Twitter is a really good one for Jostens Renaissance because they're constantly reposting what different schools all around the country are doing to give you a quick snapshot of just positive ways like the senior spotlight or cap and gown drive-throughs or, you know, virtual spirit weeks and college career days, all kinds of things that you guys can take a look at. One of the other ideas that came up on there is senior door decorating. Any senior in the community decorating their front door to let people in the community know that a senior lives here and we're proud of you and let's celebrate you. So that was just one idea I thought was kind of cool. But again, these are the types of ideas that'll be shared. Another is cap and gown delivery. You know, every school does this a little different. And especially now, we're trying to think outside of the box. But one of the things that has come up is a graduation drive-through event where seniors can come pick up essential items, kind of in correspondence with a food distribution delivery. I know a lot of schools have those set up, and there's ways to work around this too. So again, talk with your Jostens rep and we'll try to make happen whatever your needs are. And then I know this question comes up a lot, so I wanted to make sure to include this. So basically, a lot of people will ask me, well, how do I know who my Jostens rep is if you don't know, or how do I get in contact with them? If you go to jostens.com, and first thing it's going to ask you is what school are you affiliated with? You start typing that in, make sure it's your school here in Michigan. Once you click on that school, you can then scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it will tell you who your Jostens rep is. We can then send out an email of some sort to Matt to have all of our contact info in there, so that you just have to find, okay, Amy's my rep, Matt will have my email. Otherwise, you can just hit that contact us, and it'll let you directly email us, and we'll make sure to get your message on any questions you might have. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew there is a way to find your rep if you don't know who that is. I'm sure there's questions that came up during this. I just did not see them while I was sharing my screen. So is there any questions or comments that we want to talk about right now?
And one of the things that we can definitely do is if you do have questions, you want to drop them into our chat. That's something that we can blast out to Jostens and collect that information and get it right back to you after this meeting or once we get back from our breakout. So if questions do come up, I do not see any in the chat right now. Just a lot of thank you for the great ideas and sharing. And I also want to thank Jostens again for joining us. They've worked their butt off on trying to put together as much information as possible, and they've been a great partner throughout this. So thank you, Amy, and thank you, John, for jumping on this call. If we do get any questions that pop up, I'll absolutely shoot them your way and then share them with the group as a whole.
Great. I did put my email in the chat in case anybody has any questions about the resources, so feel free to email me.